It's been a week of announcements for Apple. They've announced many long-awaited products, all upgrades to previous models except for one, the MacBook Neo, and it's already becoming quite infamous because of Apple's hardware choices for it. Why in 2026 would they put out a machine that doesn't even beat the MacBook Air M1 that released all the way back in 2020? Why would Apple decide to bottleneck this machine so badly? That's really the question. I saw a tweet today from Quinn Nelson, great channel too. He retweeted a Marquise Brownlee clip from an MKBHD review of the MacBook Neo.
If you're looking at this and thinking, I wonder if this has enough RAM for what I'm trying to do, this probably already isn't for you. This isn't the computer you should be looking at. If you're thinking, I wonder why they're, USB Type-C ports and not Thunderbolt, it's probably not for you. You're watching an MKBHD video on the day that it was uploaded because you're subscribed to a tech channel on YouTube. This probably isn't the computer for you.
Which I mostly agree with. Where I don't agree with Quinn is his caption. He says, true, but the MacBook Neo will also be able to edit 4K video just fine. So, will this machine edit a 4K video? Absolutely. Yes, it will. I can do it on my iPhone 15 already, so no question about it. It's just the broadness of that statement that I think may be a little misleading. I think that 8 gigabytes of RAM in 2026 is criminal for a brand new laptop. To be fair, Quinn isn't alone in his thinking. I've seen a lot of YouTubers pushing this narrative that 8 gigabytes of RAM is enough. It's probably enough for the market that this machine really is aimed at, but to say that 8 gigabytes in 2026 is just enough is a little bit silly. You can also criticize it for not having more. Both can be true at the same time. There's no other company on earth that could do this and be able to get these kind of excuses. I don't think that Quinn or anyone else would be saying the same thing if this was Dell or HP. The funny thing is that Apple also agrees because they just recently bumped up their base models to 16 gigabytes. To me, that says that they no longer think that 8 gigabytes is viable for even an entry-level machine. Apple's not the only one who agrees. You know who else agrees? Quinn. I know, that's crazy, right? Even though he's been tweeting lately that 8 gigabytes is enough, he said this just a few months ago in one of his videos.
I will say this, 16 gigabytes as a new base memory option for Macs is enough for most casual users. 8 gigabytes was absolutely not. And while this change is likely driven more by Apple's AI ambitions than sheer generosity, it is still a welcome improvement. What surprised me is that not only did Apple bring this to computers that did not see an update like the M3 MacBook Air, but they even brought 16 gigs of memory as the base option to pseudo-discontinued models like the $999 M2 MacBook Air. That honestly is shocking and truly great. But that is where my praise stops, because the base storage is still stuck at 256 gigabytes. And I'm sorry, but that is not okay, even for people who live mostly in the cloud. Once you have the OS and just a handful of third-party apps installed, you're out of space. And so the only people that are buying this abysmally low configuration are the people that don't know any better, and they don't understand the problem when they run into it. They come into the Genius Bar because their computer has become inexplicably glacially slow. They don't know why. They waste skilled labor hours from the Genius Bar, and all the Genius Bar can tell them is, sorry. You probably didn't know this when you bought the computer, but you cheaped out. And oh yeah, there's no fix because the storage is literally soldered onto the PCB. It is literally a garbage experience for everybody involved.
I wonder which version of Quinn is right. The one that thinks that 8 gigabytes is a terrible experience, or the one that thinks it's enough. I really like this guy, so maybe I'm just misreading the situation. Maybe there's something here that I'm not seeing. Before you say what I know you're going to say, I do understand that this is targeted towards the entry-level buyer, but so were the entry-level products that they were selling at that time when he said that. Different product, still same customer base. The entry-level customer. 8 gigabytes just isn't a lot in 2026, no matter how you spin it, as much as you want to apologize for a company that you like. And before you call me a hater, I love Apple. I do. I probably have 50 different Apple products just in this room. I edit all my videos on an M1 Ultra Mac Studio. I have an Apple Studio display. I have several MacBook M1 Airs. I have an M1 MacBook Pro. I have several MacBook Pros from Intel and from the current M series. I have iPads, iPhones, AirPods, iPods, old iPhones, Apple Watches. I have tons of Apple stuff. I just want to see people enjoy their first experience with Apple and not regret it. That's all. If this laptop is for you, then I am not the person to tell you not to get it. I just want you to know what you're getting before you get it. And that's where me, Quinn, Marquise, Linus, and other people are a little different. I'm going to tell you the truth. Why don't they? I don't really know. I wish I did. But telling people that 8 gigabytes is enough when you literally just a few months ago said that it was a terrible experience, it's highly questionable behavior, and I don't quite understand it. Let's take a look at this MacBook Air at the activity monitor and see how it handles 8 gigabytes of RAM just sitting here. So it's on idle, but it's still using 5 gigabytes of RAM. There's only 8 in there. And yeah, we all know that Mac's unified RAM is super efficient. All right, you're going to get a lot out of that 3 gigabytes. But physics is still physics. It's not going to last forever. You're not going to be able to do a lot more with it. 8 gigabytes is just a really low amount in 2026. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual MacBook Neo. I started my first channel 3 years ago with an 8 gigabyte Mac Mini, and it was a good place to start. But to call it a video editing machine would be a stretch. You would quickly find yourself bottlenecked. You can't even spec this Neo machine out to where it lasts any longer. It is stuck at 8 gigabytes of RAM forever. You should not buy this machine if you're looking to edit videos, point blank. Let's look at how the MacBook Neo compares to that 2020 MacBook Air M1. I've got a 2020 MacBook Air right here. But first, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me. That way you can keep up with all my new videos. The MacBook Neo sports a 36.5 watt-hour battery, while the M1 Air sports a 49.9 watt-hour battery. The Neo doesn't support fast charging, but it does come with a 20-watt brick in the box. But it may struggle to keep up under heavy load. Using a 20-watt brick on a machine running a full desktop OS means you might actually lose battery percentage while you're plugged in and working, but this is something we'll have to wait and see when we actually have the machine in hand. The A18 was never constructed to run a desktop OS. There may be other complications like being able to run Windows on Parallels or Linux. The 2020 MacBook M1 tops out at 400 nits brightness, while the MacBook Neo tops out at 500 nits. The MacBook Neo has a 2408 by 1506 219 ppi display. The 2020 MacBook M1 Air has a 2560 by 1600 227 ppi display. So even though the Neo gets brighter, the MacBook Air technically has the sharper display. Realistically, you probably won't see the difference in either. They'll look the same with brightness and sharpness, but technically the 6-year-old MacBook Air does have the better display, so a slight advantage to the MacBook Air there. The 2020 MacBook M1 can run one 6K 60Hz external display. The MacBook Neo also supports one external display, but it can't run any of the Apple displays that are currently being sold. This is a huge deal for the ecosystem because you'll have to go outside of Apple just to get a secondary display that works. The 2020 MacBook Air M1 has a fully haptic touchpad that supports multi-touch and force touch. The MacBook Neo does support multi-touch, but it's a mechanical trackpad. It's not haptic and does not support force touch. The 2020 MacBook M1 Air has Touch ID unilaterally across the line. On the new MacBook Neo, Touch ID is a paid-for option. You can get it if you bump up to the $699 model, which also doubles your storage from 256 gigabytes to 512 gigabytes. The 2020 MacBook M1 Air supports 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. The MacBook Neo only supports USB 3, capped at 10 gigabytes for one port, and the secondary port is only USB 2. That's 480 megabits per second, which is technology all the way from the year 2000 and really would probably be only good for charging. The 2020 MacBook M1 Air came in 3 colors: space gray, silver, and gold. The new MacBook Neo comes in 4 colors: citrus, blush, silver, and indigo. I really like that Apple is using colors again. This is something they've done quite often. Actually, every time they've needed a boost in sales, they've resorted to colors. They did it with the CRT iMac, the iPhone 5C, and the current iMacs. They've introduced certain red colors all throughout the iPhone line, and the current iPads are colored too. And now you'll be able to get these MacBook Neos in different colors. Me personally though, I don't really care for the actual color choices. I would have liked to see more traditional colors like green, blue, orange, and of course red. I love red. When Apple does red, I'm all over it. It's one of my favorite colors from them. Both of these machines weigh about the same thing, coming in at 2.7 pounds, so you won't feel much of a difference in your bag. When you look at the compromises Apple built into the Neo, it is glaringly obvious that they learned their lesson from the M1 era. They realized that if you give the entry-level machine a superpowered desktop-class chip, people will just hold on to it for 6+ years. The M1 was a glorious mistake. Back in 2020, they were terrified that the Intel to Apple silicon transition would fail. So they threw everything they had at the M1 to make sure it blew people's minds. It really puts into perspective how special your M1, M1 Max, and M1 Ultras are. If you bought one, you bought in during the very rare window where Apple essentially gave away the farm. With the Neo, they engineered exactly what they actually want an entry-level laptop to be in 2026. Now that they have the market share and the loyalty, they are comfortable tightening the reins. The Neo is a cool little machine for $600, but it's heavily guarded. They're doing everything they can to prevent another situation where a base model computer is too good for its price tag. In the 2020s, we've grown so accustomed to getting so much for so little from Apple that people expected this to be some kind of budget beast. I take issue with what Quinn said because it was such a broad statement from somebody who has such a loud voice in the tech world. I'm afraid people are going to see that and think they should start with a MacBook Neo if they're wanting to edit video. You shouldn't. You're better off buying the machine that you need from the beginning because there's no way to upgrade them other than buying a new one. You really should think about the future. What's good today may not be good tomorrow. Over the last few days, Quinn has posted several times about the Neo, taking pokes at the people who have criticized it. In one tweet, he says that he's upset because the MacBook Neo doesn't have a VGA port on it. Except he's not really upset, he's just being sarcastic. He wants to act like anyone who says anything about the Neo not having this or that is crazy. This is a common psychological tactic that people use called a straw man. They'll talk about the fanatical people on the opposite side of an argument so they can make people who actually have a point look crazy. This tweet isn't the flex he thinks it is, though, because the MacBook Neo actually does have tech on it from 20 to 30 years ago, so a VGA port really wouldn't be that out of place. There are always people that think they should get 1 million ports for free on a budget computer. That's not the bulk of the people who are criticizing the Neo, though. Some of us are just realizing that USB 2.0 speeds are actually from the year 2000, that Apple has not put a mechanical trackpad on a laptop in almost 10 years, that keyboard lights are really cheap. They don't cost that much anyway. That 8 gigabytes of RAM was entry level almost 10 years ago. Apple has since moved away from it to 16 gigabytes. And finally, that Apple already made this laptop 6 years ago, and it was better then. In the beginning of this video, I said that the M1 Air beats the MacBook Neo, but I know some of you know that the A18 actually benchmarks higher than the M1. The reason the M1 beats it, though, is because the Neo falls short everywhere else. For that small bump in compute speed, you give up everything we already talked about. I would rather it be a tiny bit slower and actually be able to hook up to my camera drive and not have to wait 2 days later to transfer files that aren't going to fit on it anyway. So the real question is, why is Quinn trying so hard to justify this laptop's existence? He's trying to spin the narrative that if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you, that you're triggered. But just because you don't like something doesn't mean you're triggered. It just means you don't like it. You think Apple is trying to get one over on you, and they really kind of are. Why does he care so much? Since when do tech reviewers not want to review tech just because it's cheap? That's a question he'll have to answer, because I don't know. Maybe you guys know. I do know the clip that we saw where he's saying how terrible it is to use 8 gigabytes of RAM and how 256 gigabytes of storage is garbage. That's how he really feels. He thought that Apple had moved away, so he felt free to talk about it. When the Neo dropped, he realized that he needed to backtrack. So that's what he did. I don't know what his motivations are. Maybe he'll respond and he'll tell us and it won't be what it kind of looks like it is. Here's the clearest way and reason I can think of to explain to you why I don't think the Neo is such a great deal for most people. Today, you can buy an M4 Mac Mini with 16 gigabytes of RAM for $599. Just last week, you could buy an M4 MacBook Air with 16 gigabytes of RAM for $749. But I just looked and it's gone up to $100, so it's $849 now. My recommendation to anyone looking at buying the MacBook Neo is this: if you absolutely do not care about anything, you don't see yourself ever trying to do anything else other than look on the internet, write some papers, and do some very light video or photo editing, and you don't care about money, you just want something new with a warranty, then yes, this laptop is absolutely for you. Everyone else should just stay away from it and just buy the M4 MacBook Air or the Mac Mini. It'll be well worth it. The difference is night and day. If you don't have the couple of $100 extra for the MacBook Air, then buy a refurbished M1, M2, or M3 MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. I promise you'll thank me for it. I keep hearing people say that the MacBook Neo is targeted at a certain demographic because it is budget. But I don't quite understand this way of thinking because Apple has these other computers that are actually real computers with no handicaps, and they're all in the same price point. So what do you guys think? Are you a MacBook Neo kind of person? Just light browsing and light computing? That should work just fine for you then if that's you. Or are you someone who's gonna need a little bit more? An M1 MacBook Air user? Let me know how you feel, and I'll see you in the next one.